Welcome to Flipping Dreams podcast with your host, Heather Renee May. Each week, we bring you interviews and resources that will inspire you and encourage you. It's never too late to transform your past and empower your future. You are listening to Flipping Dreams. Welcome back to Flipping Dreams. I'm your host, Heather Renee May, and today I am introducing you to Lisa Kenicke. She is an inclusion ally with a best-selling Amazon book called The ABCs of LGBTQ. I can't wait to dive in to share Lisa's background with you, as well as her journey publishing her book. So stay tuned and we're going to jump right in with Lisa. Also, don't forget to check out our updated website and sign up for our email notifications, where you will be the first to know when our podcast releases on Mondays and when our blogs release on Wednesday, as well as upcoming exciting information about my novel. So please subscribe today. And here we go. Let's meet Lisa.
Hello.
We did it. We did it.
And I have to tell you that I have been creeping on you for the past hour. No, in a good way. And I feel like I know you. I'm like, okay, it's very, very fun. But hi, I'm Lisa from Wisconsin.
Hi, Lisa from Wisconsin. Well, first of all, I have been creeping you too. So I feel like this is a mutual creeping.
That is fantastic. And I do want to say, with all, let's just put it out there, transparency. So I do have a master's in counseling. And as I was listening to your last episode and you were like, okay, I need to talk about this addiction, I was ready. I mean, I teach crisis and trauma, you name it, I teach it and nothing phases me. And I was like, okay, RVing, this is good. And then, not to take up so much time, but then I'm such a country mouse that I'm like, what is an SRO? No idea what an SRO was. So I had to look that up. And then also full disclosure, one of my dreams is for my wife and I to rent an RV for a year and travel around the national parks. Not live in one like you're going to go visit your brother and have Dottie, the director of audience relations, with you. So that's my creepage.
I love that. I love that so much. And thank you for listening. I'm glad that you got a kick out of that.
I did. I loved it.
I was like kind of stressed because I mean, honestly, everything fell through last week with interviews and everything. And I was just like, I have no content. I'm completely like obsessed and up to my ears with like moving, getting rid of all my things so I can fit into this tiny little space. And I thought, okay, I'm just going to share this with people because maybe other people want to know what this is like.
It is. And it's your truth and it's a teachable moment. And this, I am not hitting on you because in another full thing, but wow, do you have a good voice for this?
Oh my God. Thank you. Thank you so much.
And I was like, whoa, dancer with that kind of a voice. Okay.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. I'm completely flattered. And like, thank you. Wow. I don't even know what to say. I'm like, okay, well, that's it. Thank you. It was really nice talking to you.
Peace. Yep. Good to see you. I think it is, with my nasally accent here, I think it's 4 degrees above zero in Wisconsin right now.
Okay. So I know Milwaukee pretty well. And I also went to Lambeau and went to the Seahawks Packers game. And my Seahawks were sadly beaten, but it didn't matter because it was Lambeau. I mean, it was so cool. It was freezing. It was like ridiculous, but people are so nice. And what a great time. So, yes.
Fantastic. Yeah. Yay.
Yes. I'm a fan of cheese curds. I'm a fan of...
Well, and, our other connection. So let's both claim Russell Wilson, right? And
That's right.
Came from UW and he just got Walter Payton Man of the Year. So Mazel Tov. Congratulations to you.
Congratulations, Russell. And what a great guy. We, honestly.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we should talk about what we're really here to talk. I don't know. I mean, whatever. Like we can talk about
Well,
anything. It's my
yeah,
podcast, right? Like people will listen.
it's your show. Sure.
Whatever. Do you like my faux background because of, because I'm moving? I borrowed this living room from a chef in Seattle, apparently. So very nice living room, nice bookshelves.
It is. And again,
Yeah.
wasn't going to judge, full disclosure. I was a middle school counselor. So, I have also counseled someone who was a mermaid for about a month. And so I learned a
Oh.
lot about mer culture. And if, the lovely pictures, 12 o'clock above your head, if you are not related to them, and that is just, the still shots from the store, that's fine too. Like, if that is in your little RV, you have a lot of books, honey.
I know. If they were mine, I would. Yeah. I mean, yeah. No, that's the problem. You cannot put all this stuff in an RV. So I am. I have a stack of books actually that I can't part with that I'm putting in storage. But I
You do
really
you.
I like paper books. I don't. So
We'll
yes.
have to get you one of these.
Yes. Okay. Let's dive right into your book because yes, I want one. And yes, and that was my question, was whether or not you had done this just through Amazon Kindle or whether you had a hardback book. But also I want to hear about your background from middle school counselor to now you have your business, you're training other counselors. I didn't even know that you could get a certification through Cornell, right? For
Fancy, right?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
diversity and inclusion. I'm like, whoa. But I also like that you add equity in there.
Yes.
So I
Oh,
want to
yes.
hear all these things. So where do you want to dive into the pool? Which end?
Um, as listening to your other podcasts, well, I listened to your RV one and the one with Michelle. I didn't get to the gentleman who was talking about school to prison pipeline. I'm like, I will just answer your questions. So you can, I mean, I have the gift of gab. So, but
Yeah.
you
Well,
go.
okay. Tell me how you got into this because
Yep.
how did your book and your desire to
Mm-hmm.
be an inclusion ally that came directly out of your counseling experiences, right?
Sure did.
Okay.
So I grew up in Reedsburg, Wisconsin, which is an hour north of Madison, if you know anything about Wisconsin, so kind of south central. And I had 11 kids in my elementary school, very small, grew up on a farm. The biggest difference growing up in Reedsburg, Wisconsin, we had one stoplight. That's not the difference. You were either Lutheran or you were Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
If you were Methodist, you weren't even in the conversation. And so we grew up Lutheran. Lisa Kenicke, was forbidden to date a Catholic boy, but they didn't say anything about a Catholic girl. So,
there we go.
there it is.
Ah.
So I was like, okay, that's fine. Fast forward a little bit, worked for the YMCA, moved out to the Washington, D.C. area as a camp director, and came back one Thanksgiving, sitting around the table, talking to my sister, saying, I can't find a boy that I want to date or any boy that I like. So my sister leans forward and she says, well, Lise, it's because you're gay. Please pass the carrots. So at age 27, that's when I learned about diversity. So kind of a late bloomer here, Heather, my friend. And I cried, but it made a lot of sense. And so what's interesting with that journey is that I still was in the closet for a very long time. And my book came about because of this situation, if I may tell you about this.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. So it was my second year as a middle school counselor, and I was sitting in my office, and a 7th grade student walked in, sat down, and said to me in all seriousness, Miss Kenicke, it's easier pretending to be a boy than it is to be gay in this town. Okay. Also a student of color, of which we didn't have a lot in the school that I was working at. And here I was, a 40-year-old cisgender white woman of privilege. So cisgender, born female, still identify as female. And I have a student who is telling me their story. And I wasn't out yet. So that was my whole journey. I looked
That was
down
like a
at
call to action for you.
It was. Yeah. And I look down, and so friends who can't see this, I'm showing her a Trevor pen right now. And the Trevor Project is the nation's leading suicide risk prevention hotline for any students who identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender. And I was like, whoa, if I don't do something, I do not want this kid to kill themselves.
Mm.
And I went home, talked to my wife, came back the next day, came out to the student, came out to everyone, and everybody was like, duh.
A recurring theme in your life. You're like, oh,
Right, exactly, Sha. And so then I started writing a blog, and it was resources for educators, and it
okay.
was letters A through Z. And if you want to learn how to be an ally, here are some resources. You don't want to ask someone what it's like to be bisexual. Here are some resources. And so little by little, I put the letters literally A through Z together, threw in some of my own stories, true stories, by the way. And the book is really short. It's called Be an Inclusion Ally, the ABCs of LGBTQ+. It's got a fun rainbow on the cover. So I'll send you all that artwork, my friend. I'll send you a book too.
Yes, please do.
Super short read, super fun. And it came out, I know that we are in February of 2021 right now. So it came out last June for Pride Month. And being a former middle school counselor, I have been able to keynote school counseling conferences. Maine bought 150 copies of my book for their school counselors. And so the teenagers in Maine are grasping that they matter, and, just talking about flipping dreams like you, it's just like, that's what it's all about. So that's why I wrote the book, was to save lives.
That is so amazing. And also, like, well, thank you, first of all. And, I wasn't really aware of what an ally was until I started having conversations, I think, in two of my podcast interviews last season. And also, I have a lot of questions. There's a lot of letters, I
Yes,
mean, and
let's
so,
go.
yeah. And
Sorry, I
so,
just assume, yeah, this is what
yeah.
I do for a living. So yeah.
No, and so like literally, I'm very privileged with working for Stitch Fix, and that we have a very much diversity inclusion focus, and I do have a lot of friends that I'm able to ask things, but I feel like a lot of listeners may not have those resources of like, what do all those words mean? What is binary, non-binary? What do
hmm
all these things mean? And I love that your book is a resource that's kind of fun. That's like, you don't. It's okay to not know. But
Exactly.
but also I want to know, so I want to know, like, there's that. And then the other part of it is, why is it so important to be an ally? I'd love to hear from you. Like, what?
Fantastic. Thanks for asking. So, to answer some of the letter questions, we call it XYZ, LGBT, ABC, whatever you want. And when I wrote the book, I also did videos with each letter. So in June, I did 30 days of videos. They are hilarious. They are one take Lisa shots. But to answer your question,
Wait,
right?
are
So
those on Facebook? Where
they
can
are
someone
on
find you? Okay,
Facebook,
good,
yes.
good.
And so, and exactly to what you said, I am Lisa K, your everyday gay. Just ask me a question. I go to the grocery store, I pick up my dog poop. My dog doesn't poop in rainbows. That would be
That would be
fabulous. But
really cool.
yeah,
But
but
yeah.
I'm just like you. And so with the letters, I'll just start with lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, which you're going to hear a lot more of because 3 out of 10 of us know someone who is transgender. And teenagers are now skipping over, in my research and experience, over the bisexual, over the questioning, which are the other letters, and they're going straight to trans.
Mm.
Or to, just like you said, on the binary, I'm going to be gender queer. I'm going to be non-binary. You can't tell me if I'm male. You can't tell me if I'm female. I'm going to be whatever I want to be. So that's our other reality, not only in the world of education, because in 5 years, these will be the people in the workforce, if that makes any sense. And when I say these
Absolutely.
people, I don't mean to other them. I'm just saying that the times are changing. Just like I had to learn my Apple iPhone as an old fart, that's what this is all about.
Yes, yes. It's about
So,
educating yourself and
mhm,
knowing, and it is become such a vast world. Not that that world didn't exist before,
mhm,
but I think it was very much hidden, uh, or in, still in the closet, or just, yeah, all the things. So I feel like now we're having these discussions. It's really healthy that we're able to, not only address it, but also help other people understand what it means,
mhm.
and just, I think by doing that and understanding, you're automatically acting more inclusively, because
Oh,
you're no longer, you just labeling someone as they're not like me, so they're other, they're not,
yeah, and Heather, that's what an ally is, and in my book, I talk about how you can shift from a small a ally to a capital A ally. And the easiest example I can give is you're sitting there and you hear a homophobic or a transphobic joke and you don't say anything. That's a small a ally. You know that it's not right, but you might not be able to say anything. Now, that could be
Mhm,
because your boss is there or whatever it is. But then the shift happens from a small a ally to a capital A ally when you do say something. You're like, you
mhm,
know what? That's not a cool joke. Or take down that social media post. That's just not right. And I think with 2021 coming in, that we're able to breathe a
mhm,
little bit more. And I think that, the whole intersectionality with the murder of George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter, that happened May last year. Then it was June Pride Month, so actually was doing intersectionality of famous, they're called BIPOC, so Black and Indigenous people of color in our movement, etc. I told you I could talk a lot. I
I
can.
love this. No, this is great. This is great. This is awesome.
So we need the allies. So to answer your question, we can't do it alone. I need cisgender, heterosexual people with either time, talents, energy, or privilege or power to help with our policies and procedures so that students, especially students, can feel safe going to school. Because if they don't feel safe, they don't go to school. And then, you know, then community, they become, part of your, sometimes they become part of your responsibility, and that's not always the best thing either. I mean,
Sure, sure.
homelessness and
Drug
LGBTQ, yeah, it's the
issues. Yeah.
highest. Yeah.
Mhm. I'm curious. So your book came out in the middle of this pandemic, this quarantine
It
era.
did.
So I'm actually kind of curious about how that affected, your ability to help students, because then all of a sudden now they're at home. They may be in a situation where now they don't have any allies in their family. They're feeling very, uh, trying to think of the right word,
Could be
but like,
isolated, could be lonely. Yeah,
yes,
all sorts of
yes.
things. That is such a great question. And I think as an elder, shall I call myself that, in our community, very, very fortunate for the social media world, and happy for, I'm a Gen Xer, so the people
Mhm.
younger than me, but are out of high school, if that makes any sense, they know how to reach these students social media, and to give them either, Snapchat rooms or whatever it might be. And so especially in Wisconsin, I can tell you that there was a lot of love, that was going out to try and find the students. How can we support you? I also did some work with PFLAG, which is the Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gays. So to be able to say, dear people, and now your student is home. So now you're seeing them all the time. Maybe school was a safety outlet for them,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? And now they're at home and they can't dress how they want to dress or identify. So how do we then, smaller communities, support them? So again, it was a lot of, um, I've been doing a lot of speaking and a lot of presenting and offering resources. And if I don't know the answer, then here, please contact these people. So it has been, from the pandemic side of things, thank goodness
Mm.
for technology.
Yeah. Oh, isn't that so true? Um, it's interesting because this is like Daryl, also came out of this school background and, like, helping students, which I think is so important that y'all are doing this at this age, because, it is key. Those years are the toughest years, and, to find, I think I was watching part of your TEDx talk and you were talking about how one positive person
Yep.
will cut the suicide rate, what, 40%?
40%. Correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was really shocking and amazing
You know,
to
and
hear.
with that, so Heather, you are a supportive adult right there. You don't even have to identify as any of the letters. If
Mhm.
you just are nice to a kid, and it doesn't even have to be a gay kid, be nice to the kid who doesn't shower a lot. Maybe there's something else going on, but that call that kid by their name. I mean, that, yeah, that's my passion. And
Yeah.
so important at the middle level where things are wackadoodle anyway. So, well, thanks
Oh,
for watching my
yeah.
TED Talk.
Absolutely. I didn't get to finish it because I ran out of time, so I'm going to do that when I'm done. But yeah, no, it was really great. Um yeah, so I'm curious, why a book?
Hmm.
And then I'd love to dig in to more of the process of it. Like, how long did it take you to write? You said it came out of these blog posts, and like,
Yep.
let's talk a little bit about that and why you felt it so importantly that you wanted to actually have it to be a book versus a just on your blog.
I thank you for asking that question. It was a bucket list. Not that it was a dare, but it was everyone knew. And I'm the past president of the Wisconsin School Counselor Association, and I've also served on our national board of directors. So I know school counselors around the country. And I would always present. I've presented in 28 states. All right. Right now, my goal is all 50. So if you're listening in another state, just let me know. That'd be great. And
Yes.
so
She'll get an
I could
RV and she'll drive there.
I could
No.
live in an RV, yes, next to you. And so I wanted to reach a broader audience and not just people who would read my blog. I mean, all 6 subscribers that I have. Thank you, family members, on my YouTube channel,
Yes.
etc. And and my publisher, her name is Mary Helen Conroy, who is also a wonderful, wonderful librarian, etc. She made the cover, and so, dear listener, it's a rainbow cover,
It's
and
beautiful.
and that
Bold
was
and
really
beautiful.
important because the gays will sniff that out. And so my goal was to have educator, school counselor, neighbor person, soccer mom, dad, whomever, have that book there, and then either it could be the gay kid or an ally, right? And I had my neighbor tell me that she put up a rainbow flag so that she could tell her teenage boys, this is why we're doing this, to support Lisa. And
Mm.
that's what this is all about. So to have the book out there, I've had students email me, well, what about this? And then, I'm a school counselor, so I'll be like, well, what do you think about that? And then having the resources in one place, because so many people would ask me different scenarios. Well, what do I do with my sibling who has come out? And that's why I did the book. And I was like, go here, see what works for you for this resource. I'm happy to talk you through what I might have done or I might have said. And so having that tangible thing, and it's quick, short, not expensive. And that was another thing for me.
And I like that you focus on humor. I haven't read it yet. You're going to send it to me, but you focus
It's super
supposedly on
funny.
yeah, which is great because it's like it shouldn't be such a scary, serious thing, right? Like,
Right.
I mean, these, it's like it's cool. It's okay to know. It's okay to open yourself to different things. It's okay to have information. Like,
Exactly. Yeah. Lisa K, your everyday gay. I mean, I was our school mascot. We were the Beavers. I was also homecoming queen. So I'm Queen Beaver. I mean, what else do you need? Who, by the way, is gay. So you can ask me questions.
oh my
Yeah.
gosh,
So then, Heather, you were asking about the process, right?
yes,
So
yes.
2 years.
What?
Dear
Really?
author, dear budding author, dear person who has a book, please do not be dissuaded by what Lisa Kenicke is telling you. Full disclosure again, I am not a reader. Now,
Mm.
how is it that I put together a little best-selling book on Amazon and I don't like to read? That's because I was a slow reader growing up and I
Oh.
always fell behind. And when you talk about diversity, even though
Mhm.
I was in talented and gifted programs, it's because I listened to everything and I asked a lot of questions. I hated reading. My master's program was
I was gonna say you missed that.
painful.
Yeah. That.
However, right. Sorry. So yeah, so I had done a blog a week,
Okay.
and
Oh,
that's what took me.
and
Mhm.
that's what. So you were like, okay, I'm gonna get through this post this week and eventually I will string this
Exactly.
together. I
Yep.
love it.
So I had letter A for ally, B is bisexual, and literally that's what it is. No one read it on on my website. That's fine. So again, put it into a book and see what can happen. So I'm also wanting now to have book number 2 come out that'll have some journal and reflection pages with this.
Oh, okay. So like 2 years from now. Well, no, I'm just kidding. It better not be. It better
Well
not be.
played. Yes, bravo. Yeah, I'll own that. You bet.
No, 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 no. I'm sure there's other people that will hold you accountable and get you to make that happen quicker because we need it. So, um, well, okay. So once you finally decided, and did you decide the first that you were like, okay, I'm going to do this as what came first, electronic or like?
What came first was finding a mentor to help me because I don't have the patience to look things up, to find anything. Here's what would have happened if Lisa Kenicke wouldn't have done that. It would have been a piece of junk. It would have been done, check that off the list, and I would have had to redo everything. So as the
That's a really good
stars,
tip to listeners that like, yes, there's no shame. It doesn't mean you're not talented or that you shouldn't be published. There's no shame in reaching out and getting help, whether it's editing, publishing, mentorship, all of it, marketing, like it's so there. That's okay. That's why people are out there. That's why people have great skills in these areas. So you don't have to know it all.
yes, exactly. And with that, I didn't want to spend a lot of money,
Hmm. Exactly.
like zero. And so, what options were out there? Well, I mean, again, my 6 relatives would read it and bless their hearts. But okay, so then I had heard, I did a lot of research. I had listened to a lot of podcasts like this, YouTube videos, presentations, etc. And it was this thing came up of KDP. I don't know. Can I say?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay. So Kindle Direct Publishing was where I started and where I went. For those of you who are hissing at me or throwing up, signs or poking the voodoo or whatever because it is owned by Amazon, I got you. I understand that. Okay. I also thought about the greater good. If that is how I can save lives, then so be it. That is my vehicle.
Well said. And that's just it. You use the tools that are at your, access, because you have to determine like what is more important. Getting the words out there that will help and encourage and maybe save a life or many
Hmm.
versus not, you know, not being part of the Amazon culture. So yeah, I totally understand that trade-off.
And I will tell you that it was the pandemic push. So things shut down pretty much in March.
Hmm.
Then I called my mentor, my publisher, and in April, on April 10th, she's like, okay, and I was like, I want a book by June 1st. She's like, what? And I said, uh-huh, how do we get that done? So I had a wonderful mentor who was my accountability partner, and we met every Tuesday at 11 on Zoom.
How did you
She,
find her?
the stars aligned
Oh, I
and
love that.
connected through, I'm part of the National Speakers Association in Wisconsin, which is
Mm,
another wonderful
mm.
organization for people who have books and speak and blah, blah, blah. Imagine Toastmasters a little bit on steroids.
Okay,
So,
cool. Yeah, I
um,
was. Mhm.
and so stars aligned, met my publisher, and she was like, let's do this. So she had the background knowledge of and patience. She was very patient at going through finding the ISBN number and doing what KDP wanted to have her do and put it in,
The
this
format.
file and in this shape. And she has a Canva account. And so she made my cover. So dear reader, when you see
Perfect.
it, yeah, for free. So again, I could write another book on how to write a book for cheap because she was wonderful. And she got me, I got her.
That is so key. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, it doesn't have to cost a lot. And most of us are self-publishing now. I am, yeah, I'm hoping. So my novel is actually with a New York editor right now.
That's okay because you're fancy and you live in an RV, but that's cool.
Well, no, it's not just that, but it's like my first romance, like love story novel. And I just really want to give it its best shot. And
Yeah.
it's first of a series. So I'm spending the money to have it like professionally edited because I know I have things that I repeat. I know that I need help with my structure. And I think that she's just going to really help make it sing. Like I love how it all came together. I love beginning, middle, and end, but I know she's going to just make some revision, like suggestions for me to revise. And I think that's really helpful. But at the same time, like, yeah, I'm looking at either co-publishing or self-publishing.
Hmm.
And either way, it's going to be money that I'm going to be paying for the illustration, for the rest of the edits, for publishing, for all of those things. And so as I'm going through this process, I'm going to be sharing this through the
Good.
podcast and blog,
Yeah.
just like the pain points, what it's like, what the reality is. It's great that you write the thing, but then it's like, okay, well, there's a lot of other steps. So yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And bravo for you. And I think that, dear listener, if that's what you want, go for it. That's your dream. That's your baby. Me, I literally, it was like, here's April. I want this out Pride Month. And I didn't have illustrations. They were my
Right.
stories, my 2 years of research that I had culminated. So it's a whole lot of websites, right? So it's like, here you go. Here are some of my stories. So from that vantage point, it was easy to go with KDP. And I also
Totally.
didn't want to pay to have a ton of books sitting in my basement, not knowing what to do with them.
That's
And
it.
so that is something else, dear listener, print on demand is wonderful.
Okay, so you did do this. So you went the KDP first, and then you decided, did you also use, does KDP do print on demand, or is that through a different?
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
KDP does print on demand, and they hold the rights to my Kindle version.
Okay.
So I can't do another ebook with that number because they own that. But I can sell my own book. I can you print it somewhere else. I'm in the process of going to make my own audiobook, but another 3 years, whatever. But the other thing that I wanted to say quickly, dear listener, is that I'm also getting into the world where I want my book to be at Target and maybe Barnes and Noble and something like that. KDP doesn't do that. So then you have to
That's
go,
where Ingram Spark comes in. That's who I want to publish with. So yes. And so I love that this is perfect because I'm gonna have all these links in the show notes. But and also, listeners, if you're curious, you want to reach out to Lisa, I'm going to give you information so you can
yeah,
spam her. You can stalk her. No, I mean, don't stalk her, but I mean,
yeah, it's
but
okay.
you can reach out and ask her questions directly about her process. If the way that she's doing it is the way you want to do it, feel free. And I love this because part of what I wanted to do as I was doing the research in my own novel and like, what am I doing? What's my process? I'm seeing all these options. And I think that there's so much out there and not everyone, like all of a sudden people are like, oh, I published my book. Like, it's no big deal. No, it is a bit, the ISBN alone, trying to figure that out is a lot. Like, so I want to be able to share that information. I want people to see there are so many different ways to get it out there now. You really just have to ask yourself questions of like, why you're doing it, who's
Hmm.
your audience,
Yep.
how much do you want to spend, how much time do you have, like all these things, like, and then you figure out the formula that works best for you.
Right. And with that, and I think you might have said this with your novel, if you want a hardcover, you cannot have a hardcover through KDP at Amazon.
Mm, okay.
So
Yeah.
just dear listener, just know that as well. And again, I started with KDP because I wanted to have, to be honest with you, I didn't want to deal with anyone having to pay me money or ship it out. And then that's where big business came in. I was like, great, you do that. But now I'm like, oh, now I'd like to something
Yeah.
else.
But the fact that you have print on demand is perfect because I'm sure whether you're doing virtual speaking engagements or whether you are going to actually physically be in schools or somewhere, you can have them print and ship directly and have them there when you show up, hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the Maine School Counseling Association, they ordered 150. Today I went to the post office and mailed 10 to the state of Alaska. Super easy.
That's awesome. I also think that there's an opportunity there um, for corporations, companies that are looking to, yes, because diversity and inclusion is such a big hot topic for so many, especially in tech, that I could easily see this as being a handbook that companies, purchase to help that guide their own training and their own, so anyway.
Dear corporate sponsors listening,
Yes, yes.
yes, that would be fantastic. And thank you for that. And I think that because I know the world of education, I'm also a professor, so I know higher ed and K-12. These are my people. And so let me get comfortable here. And then I can use my Cornell degree, like you said, and talk about this with corporations who are ready, because most of them are just starting at race right now, race relations.
Oh, okay.
And
So
that's okay.
tech definitely is a bit further down the road
Correct.
from that.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Tech is, and then it's going to be, how do you show up? On my Zoom window, I have my pronouns listed. I have my pronouns in my email. So those are the little things. Again, in my book, I talk about here's how you can show that you're an ally, shift mindsets and behaviors to shape policies and procedures. That's what it comes down to.
That's really interesting. So, I haven't added, we always have those, we have badges for well, when we used to have our events,
Yeah. Yeah.
statistics, our
Exactly.
summits, we'd have these badges that were printed up and we had the option to add pronouns.
Hmm.
And I always thought, well, I don't need to do that because I'm not, I don't refer to myself in those ways. So I just doesn't apply to me. But now that the way you're saying, it's like it's just a flag to other people showing that I am open and an ally. So I will start to do that now because I think it's not about me. I mean, it's about
Well,
other
right.
people.
Yeah, and Heather, and thank you for saying that. And I think that it is important because I would rather you talk to me and ask me why I have them so I can tell you what cisgender is, because that is all about privilege that we don't even think about that we have. And then it is a nod to, the Jonathan Van Nesses, right? Who have facial hair and wear a skirt. How do
And are
we as a
fabulous.
yeah, exactly. How do we as a community, embrace I don't even know what pronouns Jonathan uses, but yeah. And
That's a really good question. Maybe I
and
can
I
get him
think
on
that,
here.
yeah, call him. I want to listen too. That'd
I
be
know,
great.
right? I just finished his book actually. It's really good. So, yeah, yeah, it's actually in my stack of books to give to friends to like to try to exchange.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Tell
Okay,
JVN,
Jonathan, are you listening? We're gonna call
yeah,
you.
JVN, Lisa from Wisconsin says hi. Hi. I talk about you all the time in a good way.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I got totally distracted by all of that.
Sorry.
No, this is great. I had a follow-up. Um, okay, so I guess okay, so you did the book, you're like, I want it in June. Oh, I know what I was gonna ask you. I was gonna be like, so did you like throw yourself a parade and stuff? Like, how did you market and how did you have a book launch? Did you do like
I did. Thank you.
Facebook? Did
Yes.
you? Yeah.
Yep. So it was, it's COVID, so we can't do anything. And, I wanted it for Pride Month so that people would be like, oh, and it goes back to I may be the only gay person that people know. So I want it to be positive. And I do realize that I have that privilege and I have that responsibility on myself. So again, Lisa K, you're everyday gay. I'm super funny, approachable, and I'm not going to shame you. It's okay if you don't know. So Pride Month with the videos, super short, super funny, poking fun at myself on all sorts of things. My wife's birthday is June 10th. So that's
Mm,
when we had our book kickoff
nice.
celebration via Zoom. So we had people on, we had all the little Hollywood squares everywhere. So yeah, it was a virtual celebration and it was wonderful. And then it did that day, it was an Amazon bestseller in, an obscure lesbian historical fiction geography. I don't even remember it anymore, but it was a bestseller for a day. So there we go.
There we go. I mean, that's all you need, at least for now. I'm
Yeah.
sure. I have a feeling that this is you're going to start to get some traction with this, and I think that yeah, It's a very weird time. I mean, I'm thinking about that too as I'm starting to, well, I'm more focused right now on doing my revision quickly because I want this to
Yeah,
come out, as soon
sure.
as possible.
Hmm.
But once my revision's done at the end of the month, I have to start putting together my marketing plan and strategy and putting together a book release team and trying to figure out. So my book has to do with wineries. So this is like great because like I can just, go like hit up wineries and just like, yeah.
Which is fantastic. And I'm raising my hand, dear
Yes.
listener. And so,
Yes.
so the guest, a
Yes,
couple guests
Lisa.
ago, thank you, Heather. So you talked about wine with Michelle, and she had some great ideas.
Yes, she
Again,
did.
because I didn't want to spend money on marketing and book launch, I just started, because I'm older, a Facebook book launch group.
Okay, that's probably the route I'm going to go as well because contrary to popular belief, I don't have a lot of money. So I want to the money I do have set aside. I want it to go to
Hmm.
the right places,
Hmm.
and whatever I can do on my own, or I can do with the help of friends
Yep.
or volunteers. That's what I'm going to lean on.
Yes, and another thing that I did is on LinkedIn. So, reader, I'm showing again the cover of my book, which is all rainbow, and I just had letter A is for ally, B bisexual, C is cisgender. Every day for all 30 days of June, I had my book cover, so it was consistent with
Oh,
a different letter on it. And so, if you wanted to do your book cover with a chapter or a different kind of wine or whatever, that's how I got an interview with Conde Nast.
oh,
For those of you who don't know who Conde Nast is, because my wife had to tell me, they own the New Yorker, they
huge.
own Vogue, I don't know, all of the big Whoosy What's It fancy magazines. And I was like, well, it's not ESPN, so I don't know who they are. Anyway, so I had an interview with Conde Nast just because of that LinkedIn every day,
Ah.
simple, here's my book cover, go.
I love it. I have been toying with that. I definitely want to do an audio and hint, hint, you need to do your audio. Like you need to,
Yes,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it'll be in my closet, literally. I'm not kidding. And I will have my
She's going
microphone.
back in the closet just
Yep.
for the audio though. She'll come back out. Um, but yes, I definitely was thinking about doing some teaser, like reading like teaser chapters, that sort of thing. I'm really excited to see what kind of cover. So my intern, well, no, she used to be my intern. Now she's the director of
Yes,
my branding and social media engagement.
I
But
heard that. Congratulations. Yes.
yes, Lindsay. So she's really good with graphics. And so she's doing a mock cover just to generate interest and hopefully pitch this
Hmm.
for co-publishing. But I'm really excited about like the real illustration and like what ends up happening because I'm excited to see like if you have a team of people and this is what they do for a living,
Hmm.
I'm really curious to see what they come up with,
Contests are also very good to gain
contests.
traction. It could be wine trivia, it could be something for you. And so,
Also, I hid a Dottie cameo in the novel that readers
see,
have to find a little egg, a little Easter egg. They have to if they
uh-huh.
can find where Dottie's spotted in the novel, then I'm going to do a something with
That
that.
is brilliant,
Mhm.
and so yeah, so contests were very, very fun. And I would even be like, okay, so now I'm thinking about this, and I put it out to the Facebook group. What do you think? And I'd leave it up for 3 days and they would vote. But
So
I
how
heard
did
that from
you
someone else.
so how did you build your network of people that were interested in the book? Was it what did you reach out just to like hashtags and those networks and get people interested, or was it really just word of mouth? Was it friends? How did
Yeah, it was very, very, very grassroots. It was very, I had as a camp director, I pulled in my camp counselors who are wonderful people who I hadn't worked with for a long time, but they're internationally. So I had New Zealand and Australia and the UK represented as well. So to have kind of a global thing, but I think they all knew me
Mm,
and they all wanted to see me succeed. And so I didn't go to anybody who wasn't, I didn't have the time nor the energy to deal with anybody who was going to poo poo it. And so it was all the big
okay.
cheerleaders. And I could have been more strategic in trying to get like power players, But to be honest with you, this is my first run at this. And it was like, I just want this to be successful. My goal was to sell 100 books, and I'm almost at 2,000. And so I have 94 reviews on Amazon, hoping for 100.
That's
So yeah,
amazing. That is
yeah, it's
awesome.
been fun.
That's really cool. And I will pass this along. I don't know who in our company actually handles, and also we're not doing things in person anymore, but I'll reach to our people, we have a people team. I know that. So I'll reach out, and if they're interested in all, I'll definitely share the link to the book because maybe it's something that Stitch Fix might be interested in. But
Yes.
yeah,
And then
so, you know,
then I'll get you JVN. How's that? Cool.
oh, deal. And Conde Nast. I want both.
Oh, I can get you. Okay, sure. Because you know who Conde Nast is. I felt bad for the poor person. Hi.
Oh my gosh, that's hysterical. Wait, okay, so this leads right into my last kind of like question of like, what were the gotchas? What were the learnings? What were the like, what is your advice? So, listeners, today, as you were thinking, either you've written your book or you're planning to write your book, and you're like, I want to do KDP. What are some things that you're like, you want to share with them that might pop out
Mhm.
that will help?
Very first thing, as you just said, that done is better than perfect.
I love that. Yes.
When I could say, and I'm getting goosebumps right now, when I said that I was an author, the street cred went through the roof. Now, no one knew that it was only a 112-page book, that it's all gay, but to be able to say that I am an author, it's kind of one of those, yes, I have a degree from Cornell, and I don't mean to be snooty because I'm not, believe me, Shaw, but done is better than perfect. And then it allows you, just like you, Heather, you're going to have more than one volume, right? And so now I'm like, okay, because the trans movement just blew up, I could have half of a book about here's how to support our trans community.
Yes.
Um, so done is better than perfect. I'm going to be completely honest. I tried to write 500 words a day. There's no way that that was happening.
Okay. Okay.
But the blog on Sunday mornings, I could get that done.
I really like that. And even if it does take a few years
Yeah,
or a year, maybe you set a goal where you're like, I'm going to do a blog post. Were you doing it a day or are you doing it a week? You're doing
one
it
a
a
week,
week. Yeah,
one a
yeah. That's
week.
what I do
Yeah,
too. I don't know
yeah,
how anyone would blog every day. But anyway, whatever your goals are, just set that up. And honestly, probably your blog posts were 500 words or at
yeah.
least.
Yep, in
So,
there. Yep.
you
And then
know,
by the time, I would do the research on, here's where I want you to go. Now, granted, again, I wrote the book in 2020, and even though they're websites of the national associations, things are going to change, right? In 5 years.
oh yeah.
And so,
You'll need to update for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. And, it's yours. If you don't like the person who is your publisher, don't fire them, or do whatever you need to do. But I mean, it's your story. Everyone has a story. I will tell you the two best things that I can tell you reading Robin Roberts' book that her mother told her is everybody's got a story, whether
Yes.
it's an actual book or you don't know why they're homeless, they have a story. And then the second one, make your mess your message.
I like that a lot. That's very much a flipping dreams thing.
Yeah. And so
Hmm.
that's why I loved what you're doing when I researched you too, because I'm resilient. I came out, oh my friend, I could tell you a whole lot more that went on growing up with everything
Oh,
that
yes.
I dealt with. And I wrote the book so that kids don't have to. I don't want teenagers to die. I want you to know that life it gets better. And that's from Dan Savage. So
I love that so much. That's so powerful because, there should be no casualties, right? We should all be connected and helping each other, lift each other up, and shine that light in those dark places, and help people to be there, just to know that they matter and their voices matter. And that's a big thing too for writing out. So many people do have stories. So many people do want to write someday or have a book someday. And um, what was the statistic? Only 3% actually do this. So
mhm.
it's so important for us to encourage each other. because
Right.
I think that that's where people get bitter and they get angry and they, you just don't want to be around them because they have dreams inside that they gave up on, or they just didn't have the encouragement. They didn't feel that it mattered, that they mattered. And so they kind of closed up those doors. And I think that's really sad. So I'm here to kick those doors open and like for people to, be their best selves, just share their messes, because in the mess is the beauty. Absolutely.
And whatever medium it is, so you and I, we were just talking about words, but if you're an illustrator, please draw,
Yeah.
please, if you're a musician, do that. If you, hello, Amanda Gorman, it's spoken word, whatever it's going to be,
Yes.
tell your truth, tell your story, because you're not alone. Someone else has gone through this. And I think that that's what's so inspiring, is that if a teenager can see that rainbow and be like, oh, and if they read one page, great. That's the page that was meant for them.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I firmly believe that too. Oh, this is so great. I'm so excited to share all of these tips with. I was just looking at my notes to see if I had anything else off the top that I wanted to discuss with you. But I mean, I feel like we have kind of covered everything, and I'm really excited. I think that this has just been a great episode that kind of covered a lot of things. And, hopefully folks are going to want to dig in. Now, why don't you go ahead and share with me for the podcast listeners, and I will have all of this on the YouTube
Yep.
as well on the screen. But how do they find you, Lisa?
Great question. Thanks for asking. So I have a website, and so I'm at www.lisakoen as in Nancy, ecke.com. So lisakenicke.com. And that's probably the easiest. LinkedIn would be wonderful. That's my name. So just remember the O in there. So LinkedIn and my website. Yeah, and I train on diversity, equity, and inclusion, unconscious bias, LGBT, whatever. So happy to help get you JVN, you know what I'm saying? And well, I'm excited to see your book and learn about your
Yes.
wine and everything too.
Yes, yes. I'm really excited. I feel like when I get into this new trailer and start to hit the road again, and everything is going to be, I'll have my book back. So I'll be able to, I miss my characters. So I'll get to play with them again and kind of flesh that out. And I'm really excited. It's a very hopeful story about love, but it's a very real 40 something story that, yeah, it's like, real issues. They have real conversations. It's not, she's not being saved. She's saving herself, but she still finds love, which I love. So
That is
yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yay, female power.
Yes.
Hooray.
Yes. And it's sexy to be authentic and mature. I'm sorry.
No, you do you, like I said, honey.
Mhm. Exactly. Well, thank you so much. This has been awesome. I feel like we've known each other for a long time, and I love that. So
I do too. This has been fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, listeners. Thank you, sponsors. Thank you, Heather, for what you're doing and,
my
flipping
pleasure.
dreams, because that's what we have. No one else can take our dreams from us.
That's right. That's right. Well, on that note, listeners, we will see you next week on Flipping Dreams. And Lisa, I wish you all the best with your book and everything that you do. I know you have such a great impact in the world. Thank you for what you do. And thank you for your words. And I can't wait to get my copy. So,
Yes, I will mail you one.
yes, yes. Awesome. Well, thank you for listening to Flipping Dreams. Please be sure to follow us on all of our social media at Flipping Dreams or at Heather Renee May. And please check out our website and sign up for our email list, where you will get notifications on our weekly podcast and blog posts, as well as our monthly newsletter and much more. Be the first to know. Sign up today. Thank you again, and we will see you next week here on Flipping Dreams.